Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp, and I'm the Chief Digital Officer of DATAVERSITY. We would like to thank you for joining the latest installment of the monthly DATAVERSITY webinar series, Analytics Architecture with William McKnight. Today, William will be discussing the rise of automated MDM, how AI and machine learning are revolutionizing master data management, sponsored this month by Informatica and Reltio. Just a couple of points to get us started. Due to the large number of people that attend these sessions, you will be muted during the webinar. For questions, we will be collecting them via the Q&A section. And if you'd like to chat with us or with each other, we certainly encourage you to do so. And to open the Q&A panel or the chat panel, you'll find those icons in the bottom middle of your screen for those features. And just to note, the chat defaults to send to just the panelists, but you may absolutely change that to network with everyone. As always, we will send a follow-up email within 2 business days containing links to the slides and the recording of the session and any additional information requested throughout the webinar. Now, let me turn it over to our first sponsor for the day, Informatica, and with Mrityunjay. Mrityunjay, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Shannon. Let me share my content. You see my screen?
Looks good.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Mrityunjay Sharma. I am a Senior Director at MDM Product Management within Informatica. I'm responsible for multiple 360 solutions that we produce, and I'm very excited to be part of this talk today and show you what we do at Informatica. So when it comes to the choice, the data management choice for enterprise, Informatica is the name that comes to mind. And that's because of many reasons. We've got about 3 decades of experience, and the platform. Hey, Shannon, sorry, can you hear me?
Can hear you, but it just stopped sharing, it looks like.
Okay. Can you still hear me? I'm sorry. I'm having some.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, but I just can't see your screen anymore. It stopped sharing for some reason.
Give me one moment and I'll try to be back.
Yep, there we are.
All right, really sorry about that. So as I was saying, this is the platform of choice that we hear from our customers. IDMC, as we call it, Informatica Data Management Cloud, consists of the industry's best and leading cloud native products in each respective categories. So you no longer need to choose between best of breed versus platform. With Informatica, you get both, and this is according to top industry analysts that are there. IDMC also provides, a comprehensive list of ecosystem support and common metadata and connector support. Over and above, we are also seen as a neutral vendor, which means we are sometimes called Switzerland of data. We interoperate between multi-vendor, multi-cloud, and hybrid environments with over 50,000 metadata-aware connections. You're never logged into a technology from the past or the future with Informatica. And AI is at the heart of it. The all-in-one platform that we offer, where we understand MDM is not a tool, it's not a project, it's a big journey, which includes data quality, data integration, consumption, and making sure everything is operational. It's not just a backend application anymore. So when we talk about IDMC, it makes it much easier with all the data integration, metadata, governance, data quality capabilities right built into the heart. And all the 360 applications run on top of it. When we talk about AI, we actually have our own trade name, Claire, as an engine that is what we refer to. And Claire is just a name that represents multi-year journey. We announced Claire about 8 years ago, in first in the data management applications. And since then, we have made a lot of progress. Today, we are talking about not only AI and ML when it comes to data management automation, but also in generative AI to help MDM and other applications. So very excited to hear more from William on today's topic. And back to you, Shannon.
Thank you, Rich and Jay, for kicking us off. If you have any questions for him, feel free to submit the questions in the Q&A section of your screen, as he'll be joining us in the Q&A at the end of the webinar today. And now let me turn it over to Mike for a brief word from our second sponsor, Reltio. Mike, hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So hello, everybody. My name is Mike Frasca. I am Vice President of Product Management here at Reltio. I'm talk a little bit about, I know that William's going to talk a little bit about using AI to automate things within MDM deployments and that he's seen. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the very specific things that Reltio is doing, leveraging AI for MDM. So at Reltio, we feel that master data management is uniquely situated in the center of all of this data that you need for not only your operational cases, not only your analytics cases, but also to be able to supply that to large language models for you to be able to do your own, apply your own models to. But we also think there's lots of uses internally in the MDM space where we can apply generative AI and large language models in order to get faster, quicker outcomes. So I'm going to talk about just a few of those of where we're focused today. The first big one that I think always jumps up is entity resolution. How do you do matching? How do you do matching more effectively? And large language models are incredibly good at doing things like this. They're useful for reducing time to market and time to value during implementation. They're useful for finding very, very hard matches, which an algorithmic approach is very difficult to apply. And so we have applied large language models in our Fern offering, our flexible entity resolution networks, in order to use large language models to find matches that are relatively impossible to find with pure algorithmic approaches. Things like pure initialization, things like translation, so matching Chinese character sets against English character sets, being able to automate the finding of synonyms and other hyphenated transposition type fields and values within your data set. Fern is able to do that automatically with zero natural and zero configuration. So we think that's a really incredible use for improving the productivity during your deployment. And the next big thing that we see primarily is around agents. And so agents are top of mind, I think, for everybody in the AI space. We hear them being talked about on the news. You hear them being talked about pretty much everywhere. We think there's lots of great uses for agents within the MDM platform. So we're seeing them primarily used for looking up things, identifying how to do stuff within the platform, but also be able to interact with the platform directly. Tell me every individual that I have that was born in May, every customer that I have in my top 5% revenue market. Be able to do things like create visualizations for you, for your executive team, without having to go through development loops. And so we think not only can the data in MDM provide significant value to your other large language models, but we're going to apply them for you directly into the platform so you can take advantage of them and deploy your MDM solutions faster and more efficiently. So that's about what I have. I know William has a much longer discussion. So Shannon, back to you.
Mike, thank you so much. And if you have questions for Mike, also feel free to submit those questions in the Q&A section of your screen, as he too will be joining us in the Q&A at the end of the webinar. And thanks to both to Informatica and Reltio for making these webinars happen. Now let me introduce you our speaker for the series, William McKnight. William has advised many of the world's best-known organizations. His strategies form the information management plan for leading companies in numerous industries. He is a prolific author and a popular keynote speaker and trainer. He has performed dozens of benchmarks on leading database, data lake, streaming, and data integration products. And with that, I will give the floor to William to get his presentation started. William, hello and welcome.
Hello, and thank you, Shannon. Thank you also, Mike and Mitran Jay, for those great presentations leading in here. I think, Mike, you foreshadowed some of the places that I think also that MDM is adopting AI and automation. So because we have limited time here today, this is not meant to compare and contrast all the different vendors out there. I just don't have time for that. And I will have some examples from different vendors, but I really think the winners in this space are going to be doing all of the above that I'm going to be talking about here today. I think MDM is poised for greatness, and I might make some bold pronouncements about MDM as we go along here, so stay tuned for that. But just know that I'm being vendor neutral today as much as I possibly can, although I am really ecstatic to have a couple of the real leaders in this space with us today. And they embody the things that I'll be talking about here. And as well, it should make for a nice Q&A. So get your questions queued up. The three of us will be on that, hopefully around the 10 minutes to the top of the hour. So look forward to that. Now, this topic is one of my favorite topics, master data management in general. I love talking about it. I think it's just, as I say, poised for greatness. And this topic specific around automation came about because when I put my topics in around October, we had just completed, my firm, McKnight Consulting Group, we had just completed a master data management project. And I thought it went super smooth. I thought it went faster than I expected, and actually implemented more things than I expected in the time frame and the budget and so on. I mean, we pride ourselves on being on time and under budget, don't get me wrong. But if I track that back to, say, a project even earlier in the year, you can see the difference. You can feel the difference. Okay, I don't have a big quantitative thing about this, but I really felt the difference. I felt like a lot of that came from the tool that we were using. And looking around, that tool wasn't alone. A lot of the MDM leaders, as I say, are moving forward with a lot of automation and AI. And this is making projects go faster. It's making them go better. It's making them much more comprehensive. So as these master data ecosystems expand with increasingly diverse sources, users, and use cases, AI-driven automation emerges as a scalable solution to efficiently manage and maintain our data integrity. This is our partial client list. So where I learn things is from clients like these and technologies like these, with a few MDM tools in there, among others, many others in the broader data space. So if you need help on any of them, let me know. Here we are, April in the series. Next month, I look forward to talking about data observability. This month, we're talking about MDM. Now, I am going to spend a few slides talking about MDM in general, because with however many hundreds of people that are on this webinar, there's that many definitions of MDM probably floating around. So I got to put mine out there so that we can all be on the same page as we go. All right. So let's talk about master data management. Now, I talk a lot about justifying these projects. Why would you want to do such a thing as master data management? I mean, aren't you doing master data anyway? Yeah, you are, because you have to be for many of your applications, but you may not be doing it well if you're not taking a master data management approach to this. And I always recommend doing an ROI/TCO, in this case, mostly TCO, justification for master data management, because I believe it's efficient for the organization. I believe and know that it takes cycles out of the organization and enables projects to go to completion sooner, and for those projects to execute in more real time with higher levels of quality and just higher levels of efficacy as a result. So we must go beyond the, we know we need master data management almost all the time. Now, what am I talking about with master data management? From a reference architecture standpoint, okay, this is your architecture without MDM. I'm just going to stick MDM right there in the middle. I think that Mitra and Jay also had a slide showing MDM in the middle. Yeah, we like that. It is a central station, grand central station of data for the enterprise if it's done well. And the flow typically goes something like the MDM metadata is published to a data catalog. The catalog is populated with lineage information from something like an Azure Data Factory or what have you. MDM can leverage the data catalog to display glossary and lineage information. We'll get into some of that. and it can auto-publish master data to various dimensional data stores throughout the enterprise, both operational and analytical. And I think we're fairly good at operational, but we're behind the ball sometimes when it comes to the analytical side of MDM. So curating more data in the hub than what you receive is essential to having robust master data management. Putting more attributes in there that more applications can utilize. And mostly, we're talking about analytical attributes. So coming up with the calculations for things like customer lifetime value, customer purchases to date, all these kind of summary pieces of information that we can add value in the master data management hub. But too many stop at, okay, I'm centralizing data and I'm distributing it from this hub. Okay, that's great, but I think there's more that can be done. And really, with the automation that we're talking about here, I think we're going to see more of that happening. So how do we justify MDM? I've given whole presentations on this, so this is just a quick summary. You look at the impact on projects. MDM by itself, obviously it sits there with data and distributes it, big deal, right? But when you look at the cost of doing MDM for all the applications that are affected, and you add that up versus doing something centralized, and I've done that, by the way, it's kind of off the charts, really, that doing an MDM approach, usually with a tool, and I strongly suggest considering tools. They are cost effective today for what they do for MDM. And that probably goes without saying, but in some places it doesn't, so I thought I'd say it. And you're consolidating all these expense streams to maximize the efficiency of the overall environment. And you get full curation of key enterprise subject areas, which allows for maximum data utilization. Okay, hopefully you get that, right? Over time, some shops are there, not many shops are fully there with all their subject areas mastered. But I find that once you get the ball rolling, you might do customer, you might do product or what have you, and you see how great it is. You get creative. You get creative about other subject areas that you can do it with. So if you're kind of thinking about the MDM journey as, okay, now I need to project what it's going to look like in 5 years from now, I can't do that. And I don't think you can do that either for your shop. There's the hope of what it might look like, but you really need to let the journey evolve. Let the journey evolve. These are some sample applications. And again, I said that the applications is where the value lies in master data management, because these applications will have the governed, the high quality, the high performing, et cetera, data, the master data, of course, to work with. It doesn't have to curate it itself, and that's value right there, of course, but there's also value in using the same customer list that everybody else is using in the organization. So everything's on the same page. So there's examples from retail, healthcare, manufacturing, financial here, but really it goes on and on. I can't even think of an industry or a company that I couldn't find a use for MDM in. Which projects don't need MDM? Which projects, let alone industry or company, but which projects don't need some master data? They all do, and so they're going to get it somewhere. And yeah, the ROI comes in more sales, reduced costs, build once, use many, so TCO stuff, reduced money laundering in financial. Yeah, the limit, there's no limit to MDM uses in organizations. It's not an option. Master data is not an option. What is an option is whether you curate an MDM project and you have a discrete focus on it with true data professionals who have done some learning in the space and are ready to implement all the things like data quality and data integration, so on, data modeling that you need and have those skills. So you need master data, but if you're going to ask an application programmer to do it on the side and do it quick and dirty, you're not doing it well, and you'll probably pay for that. You'll probably pay for that. Somebody at some level will pay for approaches like that by spending more money in the organization. And we're here today to talk about automation, and that's going to mean spending less money to get to some of the same result, what it kind of is all about. So we have to take that focus. If you're acting like this project, whatever project that you're working on, is the last project ever, And you might think, well, it's going to be more expensive to add MDM in that case, but that's not the case, right? There's more projects unless you're winding it down at your organization, okay? And most people are more optimistic than that, even in the trying times that we're in today. And I'll add right here to another guidance here to make sure you're adding in the analytical attributes. You're curating some analytical attributes. You see, robust MDM, including analytical attributes, is half of the effort for success of these projects. Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement. Look at these projects, and the list obviously goes on. These are just some. But I have fraud detection, call center chatbots, self-driving, predicting flight delays, blah, blah, blah. All the things we do, right? Enterprise subject areas, there's a list. It's a shot, right? But you'll have something that's unique to you. And then how we do it anyway is we match. We match projects that are on the docket to subject areas out there. And that helps us prioritize our subject areas and try to get the subject area in place in MDM before the project needs it, which is going to be probably a third or a quarter of the way through the build out of that project. Let's say fraud detection. So within a month or two, they're going to need customer, probably, what else might they need? Assets, geography, whatever it is. So build it out. Separate project, curated resources. Now, here's an example of fraud detection. I guess I started to get into that, but customer, product, stores, financials, weather, whatever it is that you need for fraud detection. And it's probably more. It's probably more than that little list right there. But that's enough to get started. That's going to take you, I say the top 2 or 3 subject areas probably take you 80% of the way there. And you can kind of stumble and drag along the others for the time being, because you always have to make trade-offs. But eventually you'll want to get all of them in there. And then you'll find over time, as I have, that MDM is truly accomplishing half of the project if you do it well. Either way, you'll need master data. But without a discrete focus on it, you will not do it well. There, I said it again. Do it with data specialists. Use a tool. It's operational and it's real time. MDM is real time. You might as well architect it for real time. You may say, well, this or that application doesn't need it in real time. Okay, feed it on whatever, a daily basis or what have you, but make it enabled for real time. It's built for that. Let the hub create analytical and empowering elements. Yes, put the calculations in there. Data in is not the same as data out. Data out should be robust, should be clean, should be modeled well for various uses of the organization. Make it that discrete project with high touch points with applications. Maybe a weekly common status meeting between the MDM project and the whatever fraud detection project. Okay, so that you're on the same page, but you're different projects. Focus on total cost of ownership first for justification. So if you're looking to, well, how do we justify MDM? The easiest way is total cost of ownership. It's getting back to, well, 10 applications are going to have to do this. Why don't we do it once and make our data available as a service to all of them and build it to scale? It doesn't take much longer to consider all the known requirements out there. So you're building customer, get all the customer attributes going in your MDM build out right now. So you see, the real decision points are around who's going to sponsor the project, what are the subject areas of our business, are we going to publish the data or are we going to use a workflow to establish the data, who's our subscribers, applications, common artifacts, don't forget them, like the data warehouse, data lake, and operational hubs. They all should be receiving master data management. That's a highly leverageable use of master data management, yet so often forgotten, yet so often overlooked. Your communications around what MDM is, yes, you need that, and data governance and stewardship, the group that's going to approve and give you the rules for what's going to constitute data quality, where data should come from, and all the other things. So you need a sponsor, right? Go around the organization like you're selling Girl Scout cookies, right? Will you sponsor me? Will you buy my cookies? Will you sponsor my project? Get that ball rolling in the appropriate way for the enterprise. Okay, but don't skimp on making sure that you're constantly, if you're the MDM champion, make sure you're constantly tending to that aspect of it. So bottom line, cost of master data. I was talking about the TCO approach, bespoke, that is without a tool, blah, 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 as you see there. Approximately twice as costly as doing an MDM hub over time, and not too much time either. So really consider MDM projects, really consider MDM products and MDM hubs. Okay, this is a little back of the envelope here, but I could blow that out if need be. Let's see. If you're only doing one subject area, MDMs should be justified based upon that. As a matter of fact, I've justified MDM based on a single application. Like what about the targeted marketing? They could do it their way, with an application and something that's not scalable, not shared to the rest of the organization. Or we could have that project going and we could build the data that it needs from a master data perspective with MDM. So bespoke MDM, it skips all these things, or some of these things, okay, that you get with an MDM tool: data integration, data modeling, data quality, third-party data, workflow, and being an outlet for data governance. MDM is a great outlet for data governance. Where do you put the data governance rules in your organization? Where do you put it? Well, you put them in MDM. That's where you put them. And where do you look for MDM opportunities? Again, all over the place. There's a lot of misconceptions about MDM. Yeah, this is a busy slide because there are a lot of misconceptions about MDM. I won't bother reading them. I actually gave a whole presentation on this, which I enjoy doing because I enjoy putting down these misconceptions about something that I think provides a ton of value to the organization. So how is it adding to that value? Automation and AI. Okay, so now not every product is going to have everything that I'm going to talk about here. Again, I'm not going to call them out specifically in this, but you may have to have some patience with some of these things. And also today, I also throw out some challenges to the MDM vendor community and hopefully some ideas to the MDM vendor community. Let's first talk about this notion of automation and why it's important. So I do a lot of benchmarks, more than anybody, I'll say. Okay, so in our benchmarks, we got a bottom line. We got to get to the bottom line for what this is to the organization. Is it about performance? Is it about TCO? Is it about ease of use? Blah blah blah. What category are we measuring here? So in our TCO benchmarks, we typically include obviously the cost of the software, but also the cost of the labor. So the more you can reduce that, the more efficient the project will be. So what I am calling out here today is those things that are working their way into products, of course, as I mentioned, but also at what is improved from history, and not too long ago history either. There has been a lot of development in master data management over the past year. There's been some fallout. There's been some vendors off to the side now, but those that remain, and there's a few, are doing some wondrous things with MDM. So let's start with data quality. Let's start with a big hitter, data quality in master data management and automated corrections. Now, this is a little bit of a nod, this first slide, to reference data. And I don't draw a hard line between reference data and master data. Some do, so I'll mention the word reference data. But to me, reference data is just small master data that you happen to get from a third-party source instead of the SAP environment or what have you. But anyway, there's some trust that I've built in what an MDM tool can do to that data to make it not only available in the MDM hub, but to make it even so that I don't even have to assign a data steward to it. It's going to take care of itself. And I couldn't say this last year at this time, but there's been so much in the way of automation for this type of data that we have a drastic reduction now in manual effort, in errors. We have enhanced data consistency and reliability and improved overall data quality. Now, I might be talking about reference data here, but this does not apply to that level of data only, not by any stretch. There's so many automation things going on in data quality and master data management, just in general. Automation features related to data quality capabilities. You see, over the past decade of master data management, I and others, and I've been especially vociferous about this, which is you cannot trust what the MDM tool does. You cannot in terms of data quality. And behind closed doors, the vendors would say the same thing, okay? But this is all starting to abate as we get into 2025 and beyond, because they're now incorporating artificial intelligence in determining what the data quality next best action should be on this data. And it's just gotten to a point where you can start to trust. You can start to trust what it does. You can start to trust its priorities. My concern was always, well, you're going to turn this thing on, and it's going to start doing data quality throughout all of this data, and you may or may not want that. And you're going to have to go through this and make sure all those rules are correct. Make sure all those rules fit your organization, fit your data governance, et cetera, et cetera. But I found that sometimes you can just take a shortcut and let it go, and it works. Now, trust but verify, trust but verify. But I'm definitely backing off my personal sense for having a lot of control over things. And you may have this too, that you can't trust the tool and you can't trust its priorities and on and on. You can begin now to trust it and get to a higher level of data quality quickly out of the box by allowing the tool to do its data quality things, to do its automated corrections. And you tune a few things, or you put in a few things like your scoring thresholds and the automated actions. I believe this is getting close to push button, and this among other things. And I'll have a big thing to say about push button MDM as we go along here. But I think data quality is one area that it's come a long way. You can start to trust it, and you can start to trust its actions on the data. Now, from a big hitter like that to something that you might say, well, why hasn't that been there all along? And that's AI and ML enhanced search when you're looking through master data. Where has this been? AI ML enhancements in entity search that utilizes OpenAI. Now, I say OpenAI because I know some use OpenAI, but there's probably some that use other LLMs. So maybe I should have just said LLMs here to convert plain text into search criteria. So there's APIs in OpenAI that allow you to send off the data and determine what the person typing is really getting at. And if you look for like the existence of LO, the existence of CAPT, you can look at things like just specific predicates. And it also handles things like casing, punctuation, special characters, and definitely fuzzy logic, which is pretty important in looking things up. And you also like to be able to look across a spectrum of data, multiple attributes, and so on and so forth. And I have one more slide on some examples of this. Here we see some predicate searching. You can look at particular columns. Something I do like about some of them is you can look at your recent searches. I mean, it's just become so much more robust, and there's AI behind this, making sure that it's really meeting your needs as somebody doing the data entry and the predicate searching. So this is another area. Now, data discovery and domain identification. So most shops can't say with a straight face what their subject areas are. And this is understandable. It's complex, and there can be debates about this. Okay, so now we're starting to cut through the debate. We're starting to say that with data catalogs and APIs exposure and different AI-related things like this, that the MDM can determine what, not only, and I might be pushing this a little bit, but what your entity should be, but when it discovers data, what entities, what subject areas that data belongs to, which is also a point of contention. And it's really these points of contention that slow master data management projects down. And so any help in that area is appreciated. And the MDM tools are providing more of that help through techniques like you see here, semantic labeling, that's tagging data with meaning, learning by association, finding patterns in data, entity discovery, which identifies hidden relationships in data, and column signature analysis. So you can analyze data patterns. This is used to understand the distribution and the patterns within a data set. Specifically, it focuses on analyzing the characteristics of individual columns or columns within a data set. So calculating statistics such as mean, median, mode, standard deviation, and 10 other things for every column, whatever is appropriate for that column. Obviously, some character fields aren't going to need some of that stuff, but hopefully you get the drift. And then natural language processing is understanding human language. You see, we've done this many times in our projects. We have manually looked around the organization, where's the data, blah, blah, blah. And I would say we've probably got no better than 95% accuracy in terms of this. Because there's always attributes that you leave out because it's hard to find some of those long tail attributes that are hidden away in the I don't know, in the PeopleSoft system, or some system that isn't as pronounced in the organization. Okay, a system that hasn't been put forward to your consultants as important. But with the way things are trending in master data management, the tools themselves are becoming quite the assist for data discovery and domain identification. And entity resolution, which is generally about deduping. Now, let me get on a soapbox here. We have to get away from manual data steward tasks in MDM. Let me say that again. We have to get away from manual data steward tasks. Can't tell you how many times that we've been too high or too low in terms of what we're putting, usually too high, in terms of what we're putting on the data steward task list. And the data stewards will, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, but sometimes they overcommit to what they will take care of in the MDM workflow and the timeliness that they will take care of that list. And so I don't want to count on that. And fortunately, where the tools have come to, I can count on it far less today. Now, here's another soapbox kind of item for me is when I build workflows, and I might be jumping ahead a little bit, sorry about that, but it's on my mind right now. When I build these workflows, I try to keep them simple and streamlined as much as possible. But inevitably, there's always this branch to the workflow that goes off to the VP of sales has to approve that. Or this branch that goes off to, well, the VP of marketing has to approve that. And my question always is, and sometimes this gets me in trouble, why does he or she have to approve it? And what is he or she going to do with the data? Let me know. Let me know so I can build it right in here to the workflow. And so, go judiciously within your organizations when you ask questions like that. And I try to anymore, but your workflows can tend to get overly complicated with things like that. What has to happen there is trust. Trust needs to be built in the workflow process. And in the past year, I've detected that there's more trust in the workflow process. There's more smart AI built into that process. So entity resolution is a part of data steward workflow. That's why I mentioned all that other stuff about the workflows, okay, the tasks. But it has supervised learning, models, machine learning rules, which enhances matching accuracy using techniques like active learning and decision trees. This is for your non-labeled data. Relationship inference, which identifies the relationships between master data domains by analyzing metadata, and so on. And there's a lot happening there. There's a lot happening in lineage modeling, and mapping. Kind of threw them all together here on the slide, but they are different things within master data management. And some of you will appreciate some of this more than others, but it's there. AI is revolutionizing master data management by automating the mapping of master data across systems. It aids in schema matching, data ingestion, and mapping using techniques like machine learning, named entity recognition, and natural language understanding. The benefits include increased efficiency, improved accuracy, and enhanced collaboration. So AI can infer these relationships and enable better decision-making and driving more business success by unlocking the full potential. So for example, named entity recognition, you see that on the third bullet here. AI, let me read it. Using genetic algorithms, NER and NLU, I'll explain those, automates the ingestion and mapping of data to master data models, including product categorization and using text classification methods. So you're going to hear more about this in MDM. So let me maybe be the first. NER, named entity recognition. It's a technique used to identify and extract named entities from unstructured text data. For example, if you have a sentence like, John Smith is the CEO of XYZ Corporation and lives in New York City. NER can take that sentence and say, okay, there's a person here, John Smith. His title is CEO. The organization is XYZ Corporation, and the location is New York City. And it can break out stuff like that. So you can start to give these tools text data based on that. Natural language understanding, NLU, it's a subfield of NLP that focuses on enabling computers to comprehend the meaning and context of human language. So our input data just got a lot broader, didn't it? An API first approach. Now you might be thinking, well, how does that help automation? An API first approach. An API first approach lends itself to automation by providing a standardized way for MDM to communicate with different systems and eventually interact without human intervention. Speaking of lower human intervention, we've got a lot of no-code, low-code development, especially in the area of integrations. This is impressive. This is impressive. There are, it's routine to find tools with a large number of pre-built connectors. You're talking thousands that they've developed and perhaps you've developed. And the concept, a good concept, I think, is recipes. So these are recipes. These are quick starts, quick studies, jump starts, if you will, on the things that you're going to need to do to bring in data. Now, the data pipeline for major cloud data warehouses are included here from Snowflake, BigQuery, and Databricks, and others. This can help you by allowing you to drop and sync entire master data sets into a staging area for further processing, or maybe put some DBT on top of it at that point, or whatever it is that you need to do to overlay data. It's a convenient feature. And there's a lot of this no-code, low-code going on. So I have said it before, and I was right, and I'll say it again. The cycles are just being taken out of MDM. And hopefully you see that I'm building to something here. I'm building to something. I'm building to the idea that, I'll jump ahead a little bit, that MDM is getting close to being push-button automatic within organizations. In other words, searching out the entities, modeling, all the data quality, all the data integration, and that sort of thing. So it's getting that, going that direction. Now, workflow is another great example of this. And this has been a particular pain point, right? I've already talked about the pain points we have building the data steward task list. Since those can get really backed up, fortunately now there are things like automated recommendations that are based on the steward's pattern of activity. So if the steward always handles something that looks like this thing on their list in a certain way, just do it. Just do it. A steward can make the decision that can propagate through all similar decisions to be made in the list. And this is something that is, again, trying to keep the data steward task list down and manageable. And there are other workflow automation features talking about building that data steward task list. These can get really backed up. Fortunately, there are these automated recommendations, and these things can propagate throughout the organization. Automated, for example, task management, prioritizing and assigning tasks to users or systems based upon predefined rules. How about somebody doesn't have to be a full-fledged data steward in order to be on the chain of the workflow, to be part of the workflow. Make it just more available to people in the organization. So this is all happening. Automated recommendations for data stewards is kind of a summary of this. Using AI to apply automated recommendations to data steward task lists, learning patterns in the accept-reject decisions for golden record matches, and applying predictive models to recommend actions for data stewards, prioritizing tasks, providing real-time insights and recommendations. Now, something I'm really excited about. This is awesome. Completion of text fields. Using LLMs to generate descriptions and other text fields automatically, potentially for various data entities. So stuff like product descriptions, categorizing data, and more can be automated. So I think my screenshot's a little fuzzy here, but the idea is that, for example, in this particular company, they had products and they had product descriptions, but it was very incomplete. It was very inconsistent and sometimes just wrong. And so they can now use LLMs to jump out to an OpenAI or something like this and provide the prompt and get back the description and go with it. So no longer are stewards sitting there with every product entering the description and trying to keep that up to date. So it's become quite different. So you can take something like, and the example given there is car seats. Includes any product that can be used as a baby car seat or booster seat. This includes car seats that are designed for whatever the description is. There you go. You got that from an LLM, which leads to prompt engineering. And I'm particularly excited about this as well because, there's so many LLMs out there that enterprises are using. Which one do you use for this? And how do you use it? And there may be different ones that are best for different fields, different times of day, et cetera, et cetera. So curating the LLM market and creating the prompt for consistently populating text fields is a thing. And this is why I've said that prompt engineering is one of the key new roles and responsibilities of enterprises going forward. So a lot of these tools have built-in prompt engineering, I would say prompt engineering management kind of capabilities to just help organizations navigate that and guard against hallucinations with appropriate details in the query so that you don't have inconsistent ways of prompting data. Now we have AI agents. Here's another big thing I want to say. I think MDM is sitting in a great place in the organization to automatically respond to events as they occur within the organization. And I think the way forward on this is through AI agents. So this is the year of AI agents, isn't it? Yes, it is. And it also is for master data management. These agents can run automatically as data enters the system or certain events occur, leveraging AI on an agent basis. And if you take up my suggestion to actually include analytical attributes in your MDM, then you have such a high curated, everything all in set of data in your MDM hub that can really run the organization. And that's kind of what AI agents are about, doing particular business functions of the organization with AI and with great data. And this is going to be where that great data comes from as we go forward. And Mike, you mentioned AI agents as well. So yeah, it's happening. Data as a service. That's what MDM is to me. A lot of cool use cases about data as a service. This is, I say it's MDM is data as a service internally, but this is referring to data as a service from outside third-party syndicator and business partner types of data. You can bring that data in on a real-time basis. And not only are the MDM vendors improving their capabilities around this area, but also the third-party syndicators are improving their ability to do this. And so let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. But third-party data is part of the MDM automation ecosystem. Now, I've given you a lot of different areas of automation and AI in MDM in 2025 and beyond, But you're going to have to trust it. You're going to have to build trust, build organizational trust in AI and automation. This goes beyond MDM, but MDM is part of it. And building trust in what MDM does is important. And these are some of the things that help that: transparency, reliability, auditability, explainability, continuous monitoring, and organizational change management. And this should be going on now for organizations as they start to adopt more and more AI, including in MDM, especially in MDM, trusting in those workflow decisions. Now, hopefully this isn't all doom and gloom. I'm leaving some human oversight in there within MDM. AI offers significant automation capabilities, but human involvement remains crucial. That's not changing in the foreseeable future. Outlier detection often requires human review. Active learning enables non-technical users to train and retrain ML models. So technology alone is insufficient. Got to leave the human oversight and judgment in to the process, but you also have to take advantage of the automation capabilities. So in summary, master data is not an option. Robust MDM is half the effort for project success, so you want to do it. Automation is abundant now in MDM. It provides automated corrections, data quality checks, and entity resolution, improving data accuracy and consistency, data discovery, lineage, and search. All have improved in the past year. Also contributing to automation are an API-first approach, no-code development, and workflow automation. These all simplify MDM processes and reduce manual effort. So AI-driven decision support includes automated recommendations, prompt engineering, and data as a service capabilities, the new MDM, if you will. And don't forget, you have to build trust in automation, AI, and human oversight is essential.